On this F150 2.7 EcoBoost, P0354 points to the coil-on plug primary circuit for the affected coil. In plain language, the PCM may be seeing that coil control circuit fail electrically, go open, short to ground, or short to voltage. The truck may run rough or misfire, and with this code set, the PCM can shut down the injector for that cylinder to protect the catalyst. That injector shutdown is normal strategy, so do not chase the injector while this code is active. The broad possible fault areas are the ignition coil circuitry, the coil itself, and only after the driver checks prove out the PCM side of the circuit. Start with the basic system checks and follow a structured diagnostic approach. If other codes are present, check what they mean first, but keep this episode focused on the suspect coil indicated by P0354. Do not disconnect any coil-on plug while the engine is running, because that can damage the coil or the PCM. Also, do not try to adjust or check base ignition timing here. Electronic ignition timing is PCM controlled and is not adjustable. Before getting deep into circuit testing, tug lightly on the suspect coil connector and make sure it is fully seated. If it is loose, reconnect it until it clicks. Coil letters correspond with cylinder numbers, so use the suspect coil position indicated by the code. The shared coil path includes a functional driver check before the circuit-by-circuit checks. Key off, disconnect the suspect coil connector, and remove the fuel pump fuse to disable the fuel pump. Connect the deluxe Noid light and signal test light set ASD 7898 or an equivalent tool between the COP and VPWR circuits in the suspect coil harness connector. Crank the engine and watch the Noid light. If it blinks consistently, move to the coil functionality check. If it does not blink consistently, move into the VPWR and driver circuit checks. Next, key off and inspect the suspect coil closely. Look at the coil case and boot for carbon tracking, cracks, torn boots, or a boot that is not installed correctly. Remove the suspect coil-on plug from the spark plug, connect the adjustable ignition spark tester THX458 or an equivalent tester, and reconnect the suspect coil connector. Set the tester gap to 40 kV and crank the engine 3 times. Then set the tester to 25-28 kV, crank the engine again and watch for spark. A correctly operating ignition system only requires spark in the 25-28 kV range. If spark is present at 25-28 kV while cranking, this path does not confirm a bad coil, so pause, recheck the earlier diagnostic path and avoid guessing. If spark is not present, install a new coil. If necessary, install a new spark plug, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If the concern or code is still present, continue to the PCM operation check. With P0354 present on this engine, the circuit diagnosis starts at the suspect coil power feed. Key off, disconnect the suspect coil connector, then turn the ignition on and measure the VPWR feed at the suspect coil harness connector. When verifying VPWR at that connector, use a 12-volt non-powered test lamp to verify vehicle power at the ignition coil harness connector. On the 2.7 EcoBoost, use the correct VPWR pin location for that suspect coil. If the voltage is greater than 10.5V, the power feed is good enough to move on to the ground check. If it is not greater than 10.5V, repair the open in the power feed. Clear the PCM DTCs and repeat the self-test. Next, key off and check the suspect coil ground circuit. Measure resistance on the ground side at the suspect coil connector. The ground circuit should be less than 5 ohms. If it is less than 5 ohms, continue to the driver circuit. If it is not less than 5 ohms, repair the open in the ground circuit. Clear the PCM DTCs and repeat the self-test. Now check the coil driver circuit for an open. Key off, disconnect the PCM connector, and keep the suspect coil connector disconnected. Measure resistance between the PCM driver circuit and the suspect coil driver circuit. That circuit should be less than 5 ohms. If it is less than 5 ohms, move on to short to voltage testing. If it is not less than 5 ohms, repair the open driver circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. For the short-to-voltage check, turn the ignition on and measure voltage on the suspect coil driver circuit. If any voltage is present, repair the short circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If no voltage is present, continue to the short-to-ground check. On some vehicles, when the coil-on plug circuit is shorted to voltage, the PCM can disable that coil until the concern is no longer present. Key off and check the suspect coil driver circuit for a short to ground. The resistance should be greater than 10,000 ohms. If it is greater than 10,000 ohms, the driver circuit checks have passed and you move to the coil damage check. If it is not greater than 10,000 ohms, repair the short circuit, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If the concern or code is still present after that repair, continue to the coil damage check. After the circuit checks pass, reconnect the PCM connector and test the suspect coil with an adjustable ignition spark tester. Connect the tester to the suspect coil, set the tester to 40 kV, and crank the engine 3 times. Then set the tester to 25-28 kV, crank the engine again, and watch for spark. A correctly operating ignition system only requires spark in the 25-28 kV range. If spark is present at that setting, install a new spark plug only if needed. Clear the PCM DTCs and repeat the self-test. If spark is not present, install a new coil, clear the PCM DTCs, and repeat the self-test. If the concern or code is still present, go to the PCM operation check. Do not replace the PCM just because a coil primary code is present. A damaged primary coil from a harness short to ground or short to voltage does not automatically mean the PCM is damaged, so verify the coil driver functionality first. If the code is still there after the previous checks and repairs, disconnect all PCM connectors and inspect for pushed-out pins and corrosion. Reconnect every PCM connector and make sure each one seats correctly. Then verify whether the concern is still present. If it is still present, install a new powertrain control module. If it is not present, the system is operating correctly at this time, and the concern may have been caused by a loose or corroded connector. Keep verification separate from the circuit testing. After any open circuit repair, short circuit repair, coil replacement, spark plug replacement if needed, or PCM replacement, clear the PCM DTCs and repeat the self-test. The takeaway is simple. For P0354, prove power, ground, and the driver circuit before condemning the coil, and prove the driver path before condemning the PCM. For more diagnostic training, visit stepdiagnostics.com.